Welcome to Business with Beers, a podcast for business owners who want to scale their business to massively grow their income and contribution by investing in people, process, and technology. I am your host, Brian Beers. This week, we've got Aaron Sistrunk, a personal trainer and owner of A-Game Fitness and Performance. In this episode, Aaron and I talk about the benefits of exercise, not only for your body, but for your mind, how to get started exercising if you're struggling. We chat about COVID pivots and how Aaron overcame his own limiting belief on virtual classes to now them becoming a core part of his business. And listen to the end where Aaron has a great analogy for business owners about taking action, taking swings at the plate instead of waiting for that perfect pitch. And if you enjoy this episode, please share it with your friends, rate and comment with your favorite part to help us reach more people. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yeah, so we haven't talked since high school. I think it was 15 years ago. I graduated in 2006. I got the reminder from my 15-year reunion. We were just chatting. So I built Aaron his first website or a website.
My very first, it was like my very first website. That was probably the time that it was, not as normal as probably what it is now. And especially that a high school kid could come up to you and just be like, oh yeah, coach, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I used Flash, which is kind of funny because that was before, smartphones with Flash, doesn't even work now. But anyway, hey, so this wouldn't be Business with Beers. I didn't ask you. We're able to have a cold one. Maybe it's not COVID. Maybe we can be outside. But what are we drinking?
Monday. Oh, me? Water, man.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
Gotta be in the mood if I'm going to have beers anyway.
Yep. It's fantastic. Cool. So share your story, kind of who you are, what you do, where you're located, kind of go from there.
Okay. Name's Aaron Sistrunk, born and raised in Philadelphia. I have a fitness facility out in Flourtown that I've had since 2013. Our whole philosophy is about community, we're family, making everybody feel comfortable in their own skin, no judgment zone as far as like where your activity level is or where your fitness journey has been. So my whole philosophy is just making people feel like they're at home and they can get to the goals. I always say real people, real goals, realistic goals, things like that.
Okay.
So
that's great. How do you help people set those goals? Or it's a common, like someone comes to you, how do you kind of dive into, how you're going to help them?
Well, the first thing is we do a consultation. From there, I kind of take all the data and get that together. Sometimes what you do is what I found in this business, if you give people unrealistic goals, they will definitely go back to being where they started at. So you don't want them to get unrealistic goals and mentally check out of it because of the fact that, they didn't reach those goals. So you have to give them realistic goals. So we usually give them like a short-term goal and then a long-term goal, but you're incrementally reaching up to that big goal. Okay. So like if a person comes to me and they say, hey, Aaron, I want to lose 100 pounds. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're not losing 100 pounds in 30 days, but what I'll do is say, okay, realistically speaking, 2 to 3 pounds a week, healthy, slowly but surely to get it off. And then, if we can get to the 100, maybe within about that year span, but we're slowly but surely plugging along for the big term goal.
Yep. Because they got to do it the healthy way. It's the most important.
Correct. And you have to set them up for success. Don't set them up for failure.
Okay. It's great. Great philosophy. How did you get into personal fitness? What's kind of your background prior to starting?
Always been that gym rat type of kid. Always like to get into the weight room, see how your body kind of changed. See how strong I can get, how big I could get, how much weight I could lift. I would probably say my senior year in high school kind of shifted more like the therapy background because I had a pretty bad injury and I had to do a lot of rehab. So that kind of, not, I want to say detour, but kind of got me into the physical therapy and the recovery part, and also as well as injury prevention part with my athletes.
Okay. What have been some of the biggest challenges you face now? Maybe since COVID, how has your business changed? I mean, obviously fitness has been a huge, got the red flag,
walk
through that.
We go back to March. everything was 2 weeks. Oh, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks. Oh, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. Next thing you know, 3 months go by. I guess the biggest lesson, I want to say what I learned here is me being a high school football coach. I always say you got to keep your head on the swivel. Okay. And you always got to constantly be willing to make a change and make a change fast, and don't judge yourself on a decision that you made. A lot of times it's not about what decision you make, it's about you taking action. And then if it might not have been the best thing for your business at that particular time, you just, what I call fail forward, you just fail forward and didn't try to go and go to the next, plan. Like before we used to have plan A and then plan B and plan C. Yep. Now it's like we got the whole freaking alphabet. You know what I mean? And that literally could happen in a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like taking action is more important. It's what you decide, not necessarily, you got to make decisions. You got to move forward. Just sitting and do nothing is pretty detrimental too.
You can't be stagnant. Great advice. Couldn't be stagnant. Like what we had to do is I was really against online training, but now I do virtual training, remote training, and things like that. We have what we call a hybrid model. Is our clients can train in the studio, they can train in England, and also train in our parking lot. It's whatever they feel comfortable with right now.
Have you had success with those programs? Do people seem to be do you think they'll stick around post kind of COVID world?
I really do. The one part, Brian, that I thought wasn't going to work is the recordings. Okay. We have recordings of the classes. I thought people, they like the live thing and the interaction like this, but they're okay with the recordings because they know who the people are and they are already connected with them. Yep. And I think, they've already connected with our instructors, so they know who they are. Yeah.
I think that's, Peloton, their big success too is, a lot of their classes are all pre-recorded, and there's live stuff, but what I've done, I have a Peloton, it's all, right. It's all pre-recorded, and you get to the personalities, you see the style you like. Especially with you going in locally, they can, do some local work. You expand your audience reach beyond, the Pennsylvania area too. So,
yep. And speaking of that, that's made me reconnect with people that have moved away, but they still want to have that training. Like prime example, I reconnected. I've always been in contact with her. Priscilla Sands, the former head of SCH. We started training. She lives in California. You know what I mean? And a couple other people I had in Delaware and North Carolina and different places. And it's opened up even to the point that I have instructors that work for me that don't even live in Pennsylvania, but they teach for me virtually.
Yep. That's amazing. They always say how COVID has taken 5 years or whatever it is and compressed it down to, 6 months or whatever it took for people to, come over these things. Even for you, you said you looked at it before, but you had these kind of limiting beliefs that it wouldn't work, people wouldn't adapt to it. But then you're forced into the situation, and now it's you can't live without it, or curbside pickup and all these things that we do. Yeah. That's so convenient. My wife's pregnant, and when she has a toddler, even the little girl in the back, to have somebody come to Target and just drop your things off and go, or it's so convenient. And even for her, she's doing virtual with her personal trainer who specializes in pregnant women, prenatal. So I think it's pretty amazing offerings, and for you guys, it's probably pretty good for your business model, because then you can touch more people at once too.
Yeah, the business model has definitely changed a lot. More people are wanting to do more personal training, and they're okay with spending the money for it. Where before, I think they just wanted to do group because, people don't want to be around big groups like they used to. They don't feel comfortable. So the private and the semi-private personal training has increased as far as us. And people are okay with it,
Yep. Especially if it's Zoom, and then you can just, line them up and knock them out. How many trainers do you have that work for you?
We got about 10 right now. Mm-hmm.
How does that compare to where, is that a higher number, lower number kind of?
A couple people fizzled out a little bit just because more personal issues, not so much of, the business, wanted to either take care of loved ones and stuff like that. we had a couple trainers just having personal issues and things like that, but nothing really like, oh, Aaron, this is too much, I gotta go.
Yep.
It was more or less like people wanted to kind of stick around and support what we built,
Yep. Is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew back when you started your business?
Could you say that one more time, bro? I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem. Is there anything you kind of know now that you wish you knew back when you started your business? I don't know, lessons that you look back and you say, hey, man, I wish I knew that. I would have done this a little differently.
From the beginning of the business, would you say?
Yeah.
Or not?
Yep.
Before COVID.
But yeah, prior to COVID.
Well, I had both of them. One of the things that I think is I used to get stuck in making a decision where now I just make it. And then I just I have to have this baseball mentality to be like, I could strike out 70% of the time, but just capitalize on that 30%. I make a decision. I don't second guess myself. I just be like, all right, we got to keep this moving. All right, we can't sit there and, because if you stay still, you're going to die. So you're constantly coming up with all your different plans, a backup thing if something happens, and just keep it moving as much as possible.
So you'd say probably back then maybe you were kind of waiting for that perfect pitch, and now you're swinging a lot more of them.
Yeah, I'm swinging like a son of a.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's never going to be a perfect pitch. That's a good analogy, and that's the whole thing too. It's like it may not always be everything is placed here and everything's here. It might look a little raggedy at first, and you may have to keep tweaking it as you go, and it's okay. And doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't mean you're wrong at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get stuck in this analysis paralysis, and they want to plan everything and spreadsheet it, and it's got to be perfect. And versus sometimes you gotta start swinging, and you mess up, you adjust, and you just keep adapting. And it's recognizing that, and you call it failing forward. I mean, I look at it as all learning experiences. Nothing's really a failure. It's a matter of do you learn what can you learn, and how can this benefit you? How can you improve on it next time? Right. Not really focusing on the past and all these negative emotions, but thinking about it more of a positive light and moving forward. So yeah, it's great. So, one of the things that I personally struggle with is kind of finding the time to make it a priority, physical fitness, exercise, so I guess it's possibly need a stronger why. I mean, what would you recommend? So someone who's not working out, not doing exercise, what can they do? How do they kind of push themselves to want to do it?
What I usually, usually tell people is this: you have to put yourself first. A lot of people are givers, and with that being said, is you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of other people. Yep. So if you're not healthy, how are you going to make sure that other people are healthy? And I always tell people that all the time, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to fall apart. It's like the whole analogy with the mask. Mm-hmm. You got to put your mask on first before you put somebody else's on.
So what are some of the benefits to exercise? Maybe for a business owner. I know there's some other performance related things that they say exercise, its effects on your brain, it makes you sharper. What would you say? What are some of the big whys in terms of affecting somebody's performance?
Well, because of everything that's going on now, your immune system and stress. Okay, because a lot of people are going through those two things. Cortisol levels going crazy because you got so many things going on. If you're staying active and you're staying mobile, I always say movement is medicine. It's natural medicine. So you won't have to get on all those other medicines later on. So that's the biggest, thing that you'll get out of exercise is the mental capability. And of course, you'll get the physical. And then after that, you get a little competitive level to it. And then you're putting yourself first and you're adding all that together to get a nice, firm tempo from the inside out.
Okay. In terms of at home or someone wants to get started, what's a good, is it you start with stretching? Or is it personal preference? Running, a bike?
Personal preference.
Push-ups, weights.
there's some people that may not have as much equipment as another person has.
Yep.
And they may just need to do body weight stuff. And I'm a firm believer I don't believe in those hour workouts as much. I believe in intensity over time. So like 30 minutes, you can get a nice effective 30-minute workout. Then you do an hour workout that you've been BSing and kind of looking at the clock. And you're just worrying for the 60 minutes to go by. I'd rather take that 30 and capitalize on that whole 30 than to do a 45 or 60 minutes, which is full of BS.
Okay. Yep. So is that most of yours? Is that the high intensity, short interval? Is that like your
Correct.
style or your favorite? Okay.
That's my style.
That's your style. Good. What do some of your classes look like? Can you describe some of them?
A lot of body weight exercises, boot camp type of style, functional fitness, range of motion, squats, push-ups, V-ups. We do TRXs, bands, balls, kettlebells, of course. A lot of functional movement stuff. So it's not just you get underneath a bar and you bench as much as you can,
Okay. And you said a lot of it's the community involvement, right? And I guess people getting to know each other. What are some of the other community, outreach things, or how do you create a strong community with your group?
The first thing starts with who you're bringing in there, the foundation, the community atmosphere, the family atmosphere. Like, it's not just me that's going to, be here, welcome arms to help you through this. The clients are, the trainers are, they're going to see that, and it should be contagious throughout your whole gym.
Yep. So everyone's helping each other, encouraging each other. That's part of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's
cool. The whole thing's about accountability. Community accountability. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Community accountability. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Successful people, they have a commitment to executing good habits kind of on a daily basis, right? Whether it's working out or whether it's journaling or reading, or do you have any habits or kind of rituals that you do that you kind of attribute to your success as a business person? And then I guess there's also this, like, as the trainer, right? You have kind of two separate roles, or?
Yeah, you got a couple. I think what I'll do is I put it two different ways. Things that I had to learn how to do and things that I kind of did. All right. So things that I've always done, it's always like working out. So that kind of kept my head straight. Once I started owning a business and, balancing personal life, business life, I got a daughter, things like that. I had to learn how to, because I'm not the most organized person. So what I had to do is really work in organizing myself, getting more sleep. And one thing that really changed the game is meditation. Okay. Like, I try to meditate first thing in the morning. Either I'll use like an app, or at least I'll set my timer for 7 to 10 minutes just to kind of go through the day, visualize what's going on, try to get rid of what the day happened before. If I made a mistake, don't beat myself up about it and try to go forward. Okay. Sleep has been the other thing, because sometimes you work so hard, you don't sleep enough. Me personally was going through some medical issues myself. Like, I have high blood pressure. Both my parents have high blood pressure. So one of the things is I had to start running, doing more sustainable cardio, something I hate. Yes, I'm a trainer and I hate to do cardio, but it's helped me mentally too, so much, because it's something that I thought I couldn't do and do it consistently. And now I capitalize and I did well with it. So that's a little competitive edge in me.
Yep. For meditation, what app do you use? Do you know?
The Calming app.
Calming. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And then also Audible has a couple things I use too.
Yep.
And little affirmation things I may do too.
Yeah. The learning how to meditate is definitely a challenge. I've tried a number of times. It's just that quieting your brain and just trying to not think, right? Or get clear, have clarity. I think those apps sometimes help. Yeah.
You got to start small. Like, if you think every day you're going to get, you think you're going to get 30 minutes in, you're not. So if you can get somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Yeah. 10 was my goal when I started it.
I'm usually 7 to 10.
7 to 10 is a good number. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of the Miracle Morning?
Sounds familiar, but
it's a book. Hal Elrod is the author. So he goes through these kind of 6 or 7 steps. And the first step is is silence. So it was meditation, 5 to 10 minutes of meditation. The second step is affirmations. So you go through these kind of affirmations, these positive statements, right? The third is visualizations. So kind of you going through visualizing, kind of here are my goals. This is what I'm trying to achieve. The fourth is then exercise. So in the morning, you're spending 10 minutes or whatever, kind of just getting your heart rate kind of going, doing push-ups or stretching, yoga, whatever. The next is writing. So in a journal, kind of going through your thoughts, your challenges, your goals for the day. And then the last is reading. And so then, trying to find 10 minutes at least to kind of go through and read some things that, get you thinking. So, and he kind of took, all these other recommendations from a bunch of people and then put it all into one 6 or 7 step process. So it's a pretty good book. It sounds like you're already doing kind of a lot of it. So might be worth checking out.
But that's definitely one of the things that I got into later in life is to reading more. I do a lot of audiobooks and, people that I admire with their work ethics. I kind of just, read their books and try to figure out things because I kind of try to address my weaknesses and try to at least make them, in the middle if they're weak. So That's what I tend to do.
What are some of the books you're reading now or recommendations you have, depending on what you're looking for?
There's a few. Like definitely I like David Goggins books. I like that. I read, what's the guy? He's a Zeeb. He just talks about high performance habits. Tools of Titan. Shoot, man, I read a lot. I can go on and on and on.
Tools of Titan, what's that about?
I'm giving a fuck, excuse me. Just looking at there's different books on it. It's kind of hard for me just to explain, but it just looks at different business things and how to put it in the modern day versus where it came from. It's kind of deep.
Tools of Titan. Okay, I'll check that. It's pretty good though.
It's kind of deep. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's cool, definitely something up your alley, I can see.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I'm always looking for good book recommendations. What what's next? Where do you see your kind of business going? Where do you want to take it?
I really don't see me having multiple sites, but kind of to piggyback on what you just said, maybe try to capitalize more on this remote training, more on this stuff outside of the brick and mortar, and just trying to take it to a next level with maybe nutrition and things like that. That's where I see the business going, because it looks like, you can literally, this brick and mortar can be taken away from us at any given time. So, you have to be able to have the Zoom stuff. You got to be able to have maybe some libraries of workouts and stuff like that, because people may not physically feel comfortable or can go in there without these mandates. So that's definitely the next level, to be able to run the business remotely. And you just put all your pieces physically at the gym to run itself. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. What do you do now in terms of nutrition? Do you have a program for that, or is it something you're looking to add?
We do it now. We add it with our 21-day challenge and our 6-week challenges. And of course, the people that, are like our consistent clients, we give people a library of different, calories. Like we'll have 13, 15, and 1,800 calorie meal plans that are basically, I want to call cookie cutter, but we could do them like that, but then we can also customize them too as well.
Do you have a certain
person may have allergies or their gluten have issues or they don't like shellfish, whatever.
Okay. Do you have any of the certain ones you kind of recommend, or is your own thing? I don't know, big paleo or keto and all these different terms.
This is kind of like our old thing. I've tried keto. Keto's okay. It all depends. Like my girlfriend, she has a gluten issue. Yep. So she watches that. So I have some people that are straight vegetarians or vegans, whatever fits you. Keto didn't work for me because I have high blood pressure. All that meat was a lot for me. I couldn't have all that, even though I love red meat, dead animal on a plate, as I call it. So you have to do what's also healthy for you and how your body responds to it.
Okay. What's your diet like now?
Definitely high protein. Drink a lot of water. Try to eat at least 3 to 4 meals a day with snacks in between. A lot of fruits and veggies and things like that. Yes, I cheat. Try to cheat on the weekends.
Yep. What do you think people's someone on a diet and struggling it? Kind of what's your initial advice of how to get them kind of on the right path?
Well, usually there's a mental block somewhere, and you have to find out what it is. And some people could be as big as, weirdly in their head, they just don't think they're worth, taking care of themselves. And then going back to the whole thing of putting themselves first. And then they also have to understand that you got to sometimes take baby steps before you take these big steps. Going to what we talked about before, the short-term goals. Just do little things at a time. Like I tell people, that's fine to look at the scale, but let's look at these non-scale victories first. And let's talk about that first before we talk about, okay, at the end of the week, I want to know how much weight I lost. Or at the end of the 3 weeks, I want to know, no, did you finish a class? You've never been able to finish a class. Did you drink enough water throughout the day? Did you actually follow your meal plan all day? Okay. Did you get your walk in today that you were supposed to? Did you walk away from those donuts at work?
Yep. Yeah, those small wins,
scale victories.
They all add up, right, to a larger reward. And there sometimes that's the biggest challenge. We want immediate reward, right? We want that 5 pounds loss.
Everybody does.
But it's like this linear or this exponential scale where there's like no progress in the beginning, but then you start getting compound returns, and then you're getting the real good payoffs, and you're feeling better about yourself as well. So, I know when I tried to, for a while, I stopped eating sugar at all. And you like crave it in the beginning, but then eventually I stopped eating it, and it's like you stop, I didn't even want it. And then, when I had something, I felt terrible afterwards. Like that night I couldn't sleep at all. So it's kind of amazing that you think, I can't live without, I don't know, Snapple I had, or ginger ale, or whatever the sugary drink is. But then eventually you don't crave it. And then eventually it makes you feel terrible. So,
but that's your body telling you something. Because we do what we call an elimination phase, and especially women, as they get older, hormonal, perimenopausal, menopausal. What we do is each week we take away something. Could be bread, could be gluten, wine, which freaks them all out, certain amount of carbs. And then I'd ask them, I say, okay, write down in your journal, tell me how you feel. Then we give it back to them and see how they feel. A lot of times they'll tell us about mood swings or something like that. I say, guess what? You probably got an allergy. They're surprised. It really messes them up. So.
Yeah, it's good and to track it in that journal, right? And write those thoughts, because then you can go back and reflect on it later to see, how did I feel, and then find out what the correlations are. Sometimes we forget things, whether it's a day or a week ago. So I think that's the power of that part of that morning process, is the journaling. So you can kind of get your thoughts on this paper, and then you also have a record of it to kind of go back and see what you're thinking and acting. But yeah, it's great.
Your body tells you a lot of stuff. That's the whole thing. The body is telling you stuff for a reason. That's why it does these little things. It may not be as direct as you think it is, but it's telling you stuff,
Yep. And you take those as call to action, right? To determine what you got to change or what you got to do.
Take action.
It's great. Where can listeners connect further with you if they're interested in either learning from you, getting coaching one-on-one, sign up for your virtual?
You can go to our website, which is agamefitandperform.com. That's our website. We also do a lot of things on Facebook. It's just A Game Fitness and Performance. Instagram, same thing, A Game Fitness and Performance. And we're located in Flowertown, 825 Bethlehem Pike, right across the street from the Movie Tavern.
Okay, great. Yep. So awesome. Cool. I thank you for coming on today and sharing, lots of great advice here, and really appreciate it. And all right, cool. Well, you have a good one.
Hopefully this helped you out with some stuff.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron.
All right.
Yep.
You have a good one.